right, good morning, everybody. It's still technically morning, so welcome everybody to the 2022 Laredo College Veterans Day Observance Ceremony. Glad you could all be here. We have a full lineup today. Not only are we here to recognize our veterans, but I also have to say, although it hurts me to my core to say this as an Army veteran, happy birthday to the United States Marine Corps, 247th birthday today. Okay, so to begin, I would like to call up Deacon Gerardo Morales, and we'll begin with our invocation.
Good morning. O merciful God, your spirit of wisdom fills the earth and all of us and teaches us your ways. Look upon this Memorial Day as we remember all our fallen soldiers, family members. They lie on this earth. They have praised and passed and died to life in company with you in Jesus in heaven, who died and resurrected to new life for all of us. Today we ask to give us joy, Jesus, happiness, and heal our bodies with your gentle hands of mercy and love. And one day to meet you and our brothers and sisters in heaven. Amen.
Okay, please remain standing for the posting of the colors from American Legion Post 59 Honor Guard, commanded by Guadalupe Alvarez. Okay, all right, and the national anthem. Welcome, Dr. Joseph Crabtree.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in the singing of our national anthem. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
And please just stand for just a little bit longer as we do the Pledge of Allegiance with Commander Guadalupe Alvarez, Commander of Laredo Marine Corps League 89.
Ladies and gentlemen, please face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God bless America, land of the free, because of the brave. Order arms.
Okay, please take your seats. And now, before we begin the actual core part of the ceremony, I would like to recognize some of our distinguished guests and VIPs in attendance today. First, from the Laredo College Board of Trustees, Vice President, Mr. Jorge J.D. Delgado. Ms. Jackie Levin Ramos, Secretary. Ms. Cynthia Mares, Trustee. Dr. Henry Carranza cannot be here, but he is represented by his wife. Mr. Mercurio Martinez Jr., Trustee. And we'd like to welcome Honorable Judge Tano Tijerina. From Laredo College, the administrative officers, Dr. Minita Ramirez, President. Dr. Maricela Rodriguez Tijerina, Provost, Vice President of Academic Affairs. Okay, Dr. Federico Solis, Vice President of Student Success and Enrollment. Dr. David Areazola, Vice President of Compliance and Risk Management. I know. Mr. Cesar Vela, okay, and Ms. Veronica Garza Cardenas. Okay, so now as we begin the main portion of our program, I would like to call up Dr. Minita Ramirez for her remarks.
Good morning, honored guest, Board of Trustees, friends, veterans. Today is a very special day for all of us as we celebrate Veterans Day, which I know is tomorrow, but here at Laredo College, every day is a day of celebration because Fort McIntosh is a historical place. It is a place where we never forget those who have served, those who have given of themselves for a free nation, for the opportunity to speak freely, to vote freely, and to have a voice. For many in our community, they don't know that Laredo College is a historical site, and it is our obligation, it is our opportunity to teach our young minds and our older minds that come to study here at Laredo College the opportunity that this college has afforded for many years. When we were established as a college, we were established to service those soldiers who were returning from war. Today, we honor that privilege, and we continue to service all of our veterans every day, and their children, and in the future, their children's children. So for me, as the new president of Laredo College, it is a great honor to be standing before you. I would like to take the opportunity to thank all of our veterans. And so all of the veterans that are in attendance today, if you'll please stand and be recognized at this moment. Those of you standing in the black, please wave. I know you're back there. Your commitment and your service is forever engraved in our hearts and in our minds. My father was a veteran of the Korean conflict. And while we never recognized it as a war, it was considered a conflict. Those of us who shared in that particular conflict with our family members know the sacrifice and the honor that it was for all of those men and women who did serve in all of our wars and conflicts. And so to you we say from our hearts, thank you very much for the privilege of serving you every single day. I'd like to share with you a small quote today. Dear veterans, those of us who have not served will never fully understand the sacrifices you've made both in times of peace and of war. We will never fully understand what you were required to do or how you were able to do it. We will never fully understand the depth of your scars. But what we can offer you is this. We see you. We recognize your humanity, your humility, and your service. And we send you love that is gentle, that is patient, and healing. With blessings and gratitude, we ask that you remember that all of us remember you and your loved ones for your sacrifice and your service. And know that Laredo College is always your home, a place where we offer you our humble service. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you for your continued commitment to our community and to our country. God bless you all.
Thank you, Dr. Ramirez. Next on our agenda, we need to have the LC board message from Mr. J.D. Delgado.
Good morning, everybody. As we celebrate here in the observance of Veterans Day, I know it's a very important factor that we're here on sacred ground here in Fort McIntosh. So on behalf of the Board of Trustees, we want to thank you all for being here. Thank you to our veterans for your service. And thank you all, and have a wonderful day.
Now, our message from Congressman Henry Cuellar's office. Let's see, by Marco Salazar.
Hello, I'm Marco Salazar on behalf of Congressman Henry Cuellar. First off, it is a pleasure and an honor to be here. Thank you for your service. Thank you for the participation of everybody showing up. The United South band, y'all sound amazing. Y'all keep up what you're doing. Thank you. Again, the LC board, thank you so much for recognizing the situation and this day. And, again, like I said, on behalf of Congressman Henry Cuellar, we appreciate what you have done for us, the service, and everything that you will continue to do for us. Thank you.
And now I would like to welcome Judge Tano Tijerina up here for his remarks.
Good morning, everyone. It is a true joy to be here with you all today amongst you all, especially the United South band. Thank you all so much. It's important for everyone to understand, especially our youth, to understand what this day represents. Not only is it the Marine birthday, am I correct? Oh, we got some dogs out there. I hear y'all. More importantly, it's important. And you know, as I was reading the story this morning of our private Barclay Cantu, it was amazing to see the story and to read it. You know, in the early 1900s when he was deported and he was out there fighting for our country, for our freedom, to understand that he was out there with another gentleman, and his commander actually asked him to go and scout across enemy lines. And what impressed me the most is I think back of, you know, early 1900s, and now we're in the, you know, 2022, 2020, going to 2023 here before long, is back then they didn't have the clothes and the warmth that we have today. You know, they were in freezing times. And one of the things that he had to do is swim across the river of freezing water. Freezing water, think about this. So you can imagine he was already in battle. He was already in battle, and he was trying to work with what he had. And here he was told to swim across freezing waters. He does it. They go. They explore. They see what they had to see, and they come back. They come back with all the intent and purposes. And lo and behold, that's where it got him. That's where he passed away. His legs went numb swimming. His legs went numb, and he unfortunately drowned. But heroes like him, after a while, deserve the honor that they got today. And that is the Medal of Honor. Only 618 servicemen have ever received that kind of honor. 60 of them have been Hispanics, more importantly. What's even more crazy is that you think about it now with 2022, back in that day, he had to hide his Cantu last name. So he was only going by Private Berkeley, which was, you think about it, nowadays it's frowned upon because we are who we are. And here he was just trying to fit in because he didn't want to be that other guy that either because he was a Hispanic and he was not much of anything, because that's the way the thought process was. Here we are almost 100 years later, and I pray that those times are gone because we're all valued. More importantly, the people that are in our armed forces, I really want to thank them for what they do, because every day they put their lives where it matters, and that's for our freedom. From everybody, from even the people that don't understand what's going on, from even having to ask them for their pronouns, for either asking them for their gender identity, for either asking them if you're a man or a woman. Always forget that the reason why you could ask that question was because these men have fought for you. And for that, we applaud them today. Congratulations, and thank you for what y'all doing. LC College and LC Board, thank you all for honoring them. This is obviously, a little bit of the story is going to be on the unveiling of the plaque. And so it'll always be etched in stone here. And we are truly, truly in beautiful grounds here at LC College. So for that I say, on behalf of Webb County and on behalf of Webb County, myself, congratulations and thank you.
Okay, now I would like to introduce our keynote speaker, Mrs. Alma Hernandez Torres. She's an instructor here at Laredo College.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Today we're gathered here to honor all our veterans who have served our country with honor, courage, and dedication. As grateful citizens, we acknowledge your service and thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We also acknowledge of the presence of the historical marker, yet still covered, which was provided by the Texas Historical Commission, gracing the entrance to the private David Barclay Cantu Veterans Memorial Chapel, recognizing David Barclay. When we as citizens see historical markers, we often stop to ask the mental question, who was this person and why is he being recognized by the state? Let me provide you with that story. Who is David Barclay? David Bennett Barclay was born in Laredo, Texas on March 30, 1899. to Joseph and Antonia Barkley. His sister Amelia was born in 1902. His father, Joseph, who served as a soldier for 15 years before retiring. His parents' marriage suffered the unpredictability of military life and ultimately resulted in separation. David Barkley was born with an energetic demeanor, a precocious little boy with boundless optimism and a knack for using movement in almost anything he did. He created a sense of responsibility for family and friends and obtained from a happy-go-lucky character that he never lost, even while trampling in knee-deep mud fighting overseas. For his mother and sister, once his father was estranged, he created a cohesive bond, earning his mother's respect for his caring nature and a penchant to provide them love and a decent life while still at a tender age. David Barkley was his father's son. At a very early age, he was interested in all things military. Following the example of his father and grandfather, David often pledged to his mother, "I am going to be a soldier too." In fact, reminiscent of his future bugler in the Army, he would put a spoon and fork to his mouth like a horn and go, "Rudy toot toot, Rudy toot toot," his mother once recalled. For those who witnessed him as a young lad, remembered his outgoing nature with a sense of humor, always with a smile on his face, which stayed with him all the way to the end of his life. He developed a keen awareness of his surroundings and the sensitivity to others. His character was taking shape. Personal traits such as wanting to help and always volunteering to do more defined him. Accompanying his extroverted tendencies, David was musically inclined, singing and dancing, a behavior he continued to exemplify even while fighting the Germans and France. On one occasion, he participated in a singing contest sponsored by the San Antonio Light, where he worked selling newspapers on the streets of San Antonio, and he won a suit. His mother, Antonia, would later comment. David also worked as an assistant bricklayer and a delivery boy for a local grocery store. Another talent that young David exhibited was his love of water. He often swam in San Pedro and Brackenridge Park pools and the San Antonio River. So proficient had he become in his swimming ability that he developed endurance for long-distance swimming, once completing a 30-yard stretch without stopping, far exceeding his boyhood friends. San Pedro Park is where David Barkley swam. That's a true irony, mentioned Reuben Barkley Hernandez Jr., David's grandnephew. He spent his youth swimming, and it was water that ultimately took him away. David Barkley attracted people to him. Possessing a gregarious nature, which served him well, people always took an instant liking to him. To his mother, he would always say hello to every one of my friends, boys and girls. Everyone you see, make sure you say hello. There is evidence that he even played baseball as a youth. In a letter to his mother, he states, "Tell Sandro not to give my baseball suit to the Rock Quarry branch. Tell him to keep it." In 1905, Antonia took her children, David and Amelia, to San Antonio. At the age of 8, David entered school for the first time. Academically, he performed well, reaching the 5th grade. Since Joseph Barkley had lost contact with the family and having no monetary assistance, Antonia undertook cleaning other people's homes. Young David Barkley could not idly stand by. To help his mother and younger sister, David left school at the tender age of 13. As Antonia put it, he was called upon to meet the financial needs of the family. David Barkley stepped forward to help, and that is what he continued to do always. On April 2nd, 1917, President Wilson requested of Congress that war be declared on Germany. President Wilson, after avoiding war with Germany, concluded he was ready to exert all its power and employ all its resources to bring the government of the German Empire to terms and end the war. Immediate plans were mobilized by the government to enlist young men. Barclay enlisted as soon as the conscription was open. His parting words to his mother were, "Goodbye. Don't worry about me. I wouldn't be happy if I could not do my bit." That is why it's not surprising that when David Barclay stood on the south side of the banks of the Meuse River in France with other members of the American Expeditionary Forces, those American troops fighting against the Kaiser's Germany, that the request came. "Men, I need volunteers. We need to know more about the enemy. We need to know about the proper place to cross. We must know his strengths. We need to take prisoners to find out what is in front of us." Many men, more than were needed, came forward, including young David on that cold day. David Barclay was one of the ones chosen. This was November 8, 1918. As both sides negotiated an armistice, the fighting was continuing. This was part of the Meuse-Argonne offensive, which began that September, where the Allied forces had faced brutal resistance by the determined enemy. They had finally arrived at the river. They had fought for 10 straight days. The weather was bitter cold, and the river freezing with ice chunks floating within it. They had no blankets, no proper coverings whatsoever, while the German army constantly sprayed them with machine gun fire, hoping to keep the fighting going. As David came up to the Meuse River, it was 150 to 200 feet wide. Together with Private Harold Johnston, Barclay swam across the river and drew closer to the enemy to gather the information. Finding a piece of land from members of the AEF and the layout of the enemy's position, they returned to the northern part of the river and proceeded to cross back. Private Johnson, completely exhausted, crossed the southern bank. With the information required to continue the offensive, looking around, he did not see David Barclay. Perhaps the cold weather overcame his ability to swim. He had drowned. This happened 3 days before the armistice days, 3 days before the end of the war. It was not until 1919 before Antonia Barclay found out about her son's death. He had been buried in France. Immediately, she requested to have her son's body returned to San Antonio for burial. On April 5th, 1921, his casket arrived and was taken to the family's home. Reported in the San Antonio Express the next morning, his casket was taken to the Alamo, where for the second time, the sacred old Alamo served as a setting for the public tribute to a departed war hero. San Antonio will interrupt its daily routine activity and unite in honoring the memory of the state's greatest World War soldier, David B. Barclay. He is buried at the San Antonio National Cemetery, grave number 1302. And I'd like to go ahead and point out to you that the flag that is shown down here is the flag that draped his coffin when it was at state at the Alamo. Both Privates Johnston and Barclay were awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor for their valor. Many members of the American Expeditionary Forces were like Barclay, young men, common men, with the same wants and needs. But their caring hearts and their yearning to help the country made them perform uncommon feats. In addition to the Congressional Medal of Honor, Barkley was honored posthumously by France with the Croix de Guerre, France's War Cross, and Italy with the Croce de Merito de Guerra, Italy's War Merit Cross. His mother, Antonia, wore his medals with much pride. Here we are today on Veterans Day, honoring David Barkley one more time with an additional recognition, and that is of having the Texas Historical Commission historical marker made in his honor. Your memory and contributions will never be forgotten by Laredo College and Laredo, the town you were born in. Thank you.
Thank you. I found those remarks very interesting because what I had did my initial research, there was only little bits and pieces of it, and that provided a very well-rounded picture on the sacrifices of David Barkley. So thank you very much for your efforts there. Now we get to sit back and we get to enjoy a little bit as we listen to the sounds of the marches of the various armed forces, courtesy of the United South High School Band. Thank you. That was a very excellent job. Now, as a part of the ceremony, where we're going to have the unveiling of the marker by our United States veterans.
very much. Before we start the ending of our program, I would like to, as you have the opportunity to see the historical marker, I do want to thank the efforts of our donor relations team. Will you all please stand and be recognized? Angie, Suzanne, Diana Ortiz, Sara, where are you? They've all done an incredible job. They worked real hard at getting the memorial marker established. They did the research. They had help from Ms. Hernandez, and I know that to get a historical marker is not an easy feat. So ladies, thank you all very much for your efforts. This is really meaningful. And to that, I would like to add that we will be back here probably on Memorial Day, we're hoping. PNC Bank has graciously donated the David Barclay's Cantu statue that is at what used to be the old Motor Bank, and some of the other memorial markers that are there to Laredo College for this beautiful chapel. And so we're trying to work with them to get those markers moved. It's not an easy thing to do. It's hard to move something that's been there for so long and was built with such great intention. And so thank you to PNC Bank, to their president, Susana Valencia, for the gracious donation. But please put it on your calendar. Memorial Day, hopefully we'll be back here to unveil those memorial markers one more time, but on the Laredo College campus where they deserve to be. So thank you all for being here, and I'll turn the program back over.
Thank you, Dr. Ramirez. Before we do our retiring of the colors, for those of you who haven't had a chance to look at the flag, you can tell its age, you can tell that it's well worn. And in case you forget, this was not a 50-star flag. He gave his life in service of our country before we were the nation that we are today. But the inscription on this is very worth knowing. And for those of you who haven't read it, I would like to read it right now. It says, Private David B. Barclay Cantu, uncommon valor was a common virtue. And that can be said about all of our veterans. So this is a nice memorial. So if you haven't seen this, please come take a look. Now, if you'll please stand for the retiring of our colors. My American Legion Post 59 Honor Guard. Okay, please be seated. Well, now to close out our ceremony, I would just like to say thank you to our special guests, our VIPs, all of our veterans and their families. Oftentimes on days like this, it's easy to forget the families, but for those who do serve, the families do serve right along with them, so recognition should go to the families as well. I would like to have a moment to relay a quote that I read a long time ago about Veterans Day that I think is very appropriate for the sacrifice for those who serve our nation. It says, "What is a veteran? A veteran, whether active duty, discharged, retired, or reserved, is someone who at one point in their life wrote a blank check made payable to the United States of America for an amount of and up to and including your life." Private David Barkley made that, and he cashed that check on behalf of the United States. So in everybody's service, I would like to welcome everybody here, but thank everybody who wasn't here as well, who served our country. And again, on a final note, happy birthday, Devil Dogs. Thank you for being here today.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Yes, sir. Great job.
As we depart, I'd like to give Dr. Michael Bailey a thank you for emceeing today's event. And also, if we may have all the veterans who are present, please come forward so we can take a picture. And one person that we failed to recognize, but who is a very special part of our Laredo College family, Miss Millie Slaughter is such a unique, giving person to our college. And so, Millie, thank you for always being a part of our family and who we are. But will all the veterans that are present please come forward so that we may take a picture around the mark.